So if you're thinking about Grenada in the West Indies as a destination in which to do business, I am joined in person, not on Zoom, by someone who can definitely talk you through the ins and outs. John from Equalizer Games. It's a pleasure to finally connect with you in person. I mean, it's been a very long journey. I'm thinking about when I first spoke to you sitting in a restaurant, actually, at the aquarium. You were somewhere in the States saying Grenada's on my radar, but yeah, is it going to happen? Who should I speak to? How would you describe the whole process of getting from the idea of building a business in Grenada to actually be here and seeing it come to fruition?
It's always, full of detours, dead ends, but then you see a trap door. And from COVID even to now, we've just always found a way to just keep pressing forward, even if the movement is slow. We've just always found ways to just continue forward. Uh, and in some of our early conversations, you presented to us some people that you knew that were involved in technology, and we took advantage of that. And we reached out to, Clifford Brown, and that was an awesome introduction because we found some synergy. While he has a group that's highly technical and experienced with coding, they are doing the training and preparing people in game development and in some other areas. That worked out, just that relationship. And so for us, while we already had a passion for this place and want to live here, and we're working on the details to that, meeting him and then, just talking about the plan and how to build out the products, we just struck gold. And so in talking to him, we feel like that's a bridge forward. And when we were in the States, there were opportunities maybe similar, but there was never the bridge. It was never a closing on the deal. A lot of people will present you opportunities, and there's no disrespect to anyone in particular. People will present things, and sometimes you just can't close the deal because maybe timing or lack of interest. And what I've learned, you just have to keep moving forward. One door closes, there's another one that's opening, and you walk through that one, and it just so happened to be Coding Academy was the appropriate relationship for us. So that's been helpful. We talk about the details of what we want to do, and they agree that they can fulfill those things. And we've already had experience in having other folks develop for us. This is the right time, the right place.
And this isn't the first time we're speaking, is it? For those who haven't seen the interview that you did with us already, which is incredibly popular, explaining why Grenada was on your radar. Why did you decide to be here? Because you don't have family roots or any connection to Grenada. Why did you decide that this was the destination that you wanted to be based in?
So Grenada, once again, is in our thoughts because we already had to visit. And we're talking about life moving forward and the things we want to do and how we want to build a business, what we want to offer our grandkids that maybe we weren't able to offer our children. So for us, it's always been about how can we help someone else, specifically, and on the priority level, our kids and grandkids. And I feel like God brought us to this place, even though we don't have family here. Look, I know half of my family. Even growing up, I knew my father's side, I didn't know my mother's side. So to me, family has always been people that you build relationships with, friends. So it wasn't hard, and some of the people we started meeting here and the mentors that we already had that are from the island, they helped paint a real nice picture. So the more time we spent here, the more research we did. When we came to this on the second visit, the more we understood that, this is probably a place for us. And we've been to other places in the Caribbean, been to other places on vacation, and they all are peaceful and tranquil. But I just believe in my heart, everyone has a place. It could be Canada, it can be Texas, California, but sometimes they say home is where the heart is. So I believe just through this time and God just speaking to us, this is how we ended up here. And it's been an incremental process.
I know that. I think one of the things that people often struggle with is when it's really clear, okay, I don't want to be in the UK or the US or Canada, understanding where you really want to be, how you want to live. that takes a little bit more time to get really clear on that. And I think if you have the opportunity to create a new life, you're really intentional about what you want. And I love the fact that you're not just thinking about yourself, you're not just thinking about your grandchildren, but you're also thinking about the new destination in which you're going to be based. And that's really, really, yeah, I hope that inspires others who are also thinking about moving here, because it is so small that the impact that you make can be very, very large. So it's an exciting opportunity. And so, but let's be honest, because I think one of the things that we really try and do on this channel is to paint the full picture. As someone who has run a business, worked in multiple different locations, what are some of the challenges that you've had to work through in setting up business in Grenada? What are some of the hurdles that you've had to come across and navigate?
One is now we have to incorporate the business here, create a subsidiary here. When we come back, Lord willing, at the end of July, we have to also get the visa taken care of because we want to be here for a longer amount of time. So you can say they're hurdles. I mean, they're requirements. They're things that have to be done. So I would say those are the two things most immediate. Then number three, and I believe this is anywhere you go, any city you decide to do business, when people see you step foot on soil, they have to get to know you, but at the same time, you need to press upon them. I'm not trying to take anything away from what you're doing, what your intentions are, and I want you to know my intentions are pure. We want to be a part of, we want to be embedded in what this island's all about. So I think it's that trust. You don't want people to feel like you're trying to endanger or infringe on, their space. We're coming here to provide a service so others can improve their income, and that's providing job opportunities. So I think it's those three things. It's the logistics of the visa. It is definitely making sure people understand that you're genuine and you want to be here. You're not trying to, pop a Walmart up 5 years from now on the other side of the island. You want them to know that you just want to be a part of the fabric of what makes this place beautiful. And then, the first thing was more of a positive about what the group provides us. So, just logistical things. You got to ask those questions. And then office space is something that we're working on now. And we'll be with the Coding Academy and using the space when we need it. But we've been fortunate because you introduced us to Royston. And so while we had an initial conversation, now we can return to that. Some of those logistics, maybe not tricky, but it's fun now because we can go back to that, and that's a reality. So I don't know what real estate is like in terms of renting a small office, but that's kind of one of the next things, on the docket as well.
Yeah. But now we can talk about it. Tell us about Equalizer Games and what you have planned on the end.
So Equalizer Games is a sports and education platform. My wife and I developed this. Essentially, we take a player's sport and the position that they play and provide them, virtual simulations of their sport from like a first-person view. Like you're looking out the soccer field, you're running down the sideline. You could be a right wing. And here comes the ball, and the coach may put you in a certain position. He wants you to run something, a specific play or scheme. And as you get ready to make your decision on what it is, according to what the coach's instructions were, you're prompted with a question like, what are you supposed to do? You answer that question wrong, it will be an event that will occur on the field. Be positive, it could be negative. It's all based on your decision making. So in all the tools that my wife and I have developed, we're just trying to train cognition, your rapid thinking. Because in the greatest sports that you've seen, athletes play fast when they understand where they're supposed to be, on the field, on the court, period. When you play tentative, when you're thinking too much, more than likely it's going to result in a physical injury and the coach sitting you down right next to him because he doesn't want you on the field or on the court. And so our goal has always been to prepare athletes before they take that physical repetition by giving them a virtual repetition. And then we track their results. So now when the coach trains them, he or she can look at how you're performing and then be able to provide you some additional instruction. So when you go on the field, you're ready because you've had these virtual reps. Virtual reps don't replace physical ones, but they just give you a little bit more confidence. And that's where we hope playing faster can help. And so what we've done is we developed a beta product, has over 110,000 downloads. It's called the Quarterback Equalizer. So in this tool, since I coach quarterbacks and have been coaching football for almost 30 years, quarterbacks sometimes need to understand where everybody is on the field. So in the Quarterback Equalizer, they're learning an aspect of their position, and that is how's the defense lining up and what type of defense are they playing. So in the game, when you pick a play, you drop back to pass, the screen will go gray, and a timer will start to count down because they need to answer what's the coverage. They answer it correctly, they keep moving the ball down the field. If they answer it wrong, something bad happens. So our particular tool, our beta product is just for quarterbacks, but we're creating it for every position for the sport. So that's why our relationship is so important. Some people may say, well, why would you hire a team in Grenada? Because these guys are good. They're really good. And when you're organized and you have requirements, it doesn't matter what the tool is. A good technology team can get it done. So, that's essentially what we've developed, and we're excited about it. It's on the Apple Store. It's also on Google Play. And, we've had some really good success with it. So now we're working on creating a subscription for it and getting the products developed out. So that's the purpose of the team. While the original tool had its purpose, we know we have a market for it. Now we're ready to create.
And for me, it's really exciting because since the beginning, I've always said, like, while the Caribbean is lovely, it's about more than coming here and sipping margarita. It's really about giving back. And the idea that, like, a conversation a year and a half ago has led to you guys being here in Grenada and creating jobs. It's really huge. It's really huge for the island. I think sometimes here people worry, like, too many people coming from overseas. But I think when people come with the right intentions and really willing to give back, it's a great bonus for the island.
Exactly.
So what sort of opportunities do you think are going to be created? Like what sort of jobs, what sort of roles, training, etc.?
That's a great question. So specifically for us, for each that we develop, we need a team of content creators in the development field, software development. And these jobs are specific. Some could be animation, some could be database, program managers. So we'll have opportunities for each tool that we're developing, and some of them across projects. And this is not just for Grenada. While this is our hub, this is our base, we're seeking those same skilled, talented people across the Caribbean because they'll all be a part of the Coding Academy. But this is our starting point. This is where we'll be. This will be our headquarters, and this is where we'll pull our initial talent. But if there's some talented folks in Trinidad or in St. Lucia, there's an opportunity there.
So what advice would you give to someone else who's thinking, okay, I could be based anywhere. Grenada seems interesting, but I don't know it. It's small. What opportunities are there for me? What would you say to someone who's considering destinations but has a lot of doubts about Grenada? What advice would you give?
Do your research, document everything. It's almost like a journal. As you continue to maneuver through, things are going to change because we've had to make changes and adjustments. We moved the business from Texas to St. Louis, but the whole time, still researching Grenada. We're seeing if things change. One thing I can tell you, crime stays low, very low. That's an attractive thing for us. We're bringing grandkids here. I've heard you talk about food independence. The new prime minister came in and we watch the news every week, so he keeps preaching that. So we have all these things that we wrote down, and we're watching those things take place. So that's pretty much what I would say to anyone, whether it's building a business or deciding to move here with your business or just coming here to start over. Write down the things that are most important to you. And I heard you say this on our calls. Write down those things that are important and then go research those things as they pertain to this place. And I think that's important. And probably one of the most important things is what we're doing now. I mean, we're here for almost 6 weeks before I have to go back to work. So it's good for us because now we can get an address, set up our location here, and then start working on the projects with our team before we leave. So when we leave, the expectations are in place. They already know what they need to do. They won't need me, but because we built a relationship, there's trust there, and we'll be ready to go. So we come back in the summer and we starting to launch our product. They already know what the expectation is. We feel good about that, and we're preparing for when we return. But it took research to do that. Like we have an attorney here now, a realtor that we've been talking to, and then some of those conversations we had with you, um, about how to ship things. We're not at that point yet. We're getting close, but we have the information. So I just say, document your thoughts, start to build off your research by you can literally go online. And then if you have relationships with people here, that does help. But even when we first met you, you asked us, hey, make sure you don't want to waste your time. But it's no different no matter what part of the world you're in. If you're meeting a subject matter expert on anything and it's an opportunity for you to meet them one-on-one, write your questions down. If I had a chance to meet Oprah, I'm going to have my questions because there's some things I want to ask her. So that's what I think. I think it's important just to write it down. It doesn't have to be overly technical, but just put in your mind what your thoughts are and your passions. It's almost like writing a diary, and then just start to fill in the blanks with the questions that you ask yourself. Yeah.
What's also exciting is that you guys exemplify the new generation of persons. I'm astounded by how many of the people that I'm having conversations with are looking to move back and start a business or bring a business from the States to Grenada. And I think creating that sort of entrepreneurial community, thinking about how we can all share skills or offer support, I think that makes it quite an exciting proposition for that. So yeah, I just want to thank you for all that you're doing and for flying the flag for Grenada. I know that you mentioned it at many opportunities, but it's really exciting to see what happens next.